As game two is here, let's go back inside the coach's room to take a closer look at the video from game one on the things that the teams did well and the things they need to improve on before they start game two. Well, let's get to the video. Let's take a look first at the Edmonton Oilers offensive zone. First off, no more offensive zone penalties. And that means you, Corey Perry. You can't put yourself down like this, especially when your penalty kill is hovering around 66%. You can't take any more offensive zone penalties. That's number one. But I tell you what, in the offensive zone, the Edmonton Oilers are really good at doing something that the Florida Panthers are good at, and that's generating off of the forecheck. They were very physical on the forecheck, and they're going to wear down the Panthers defensemen as this series go down. So great job by them putting pressure on the Florida Panthers defensemen as they dump the puck in and go chase it. And I tell you what, when you do that over 7 games, it really wears down the defensemen. Again, you're going to see how quick they were to pucks, physical on the forecheck, create turnovers, and then they get pucks to the net. So Edmonton was able to generate opportunities off of turnovers, wall battles, off of the forecheck, get pucks to the net with traffic. And that's something we usually see with the Florida Panthers, and they were able to do that in game one to create really good chances. And it happened on their first goal of the game, just a minute in, where you see a foot race by Draisaitl is able to push off the Florida Panthers defenders. And again, we talk about wall battles along the wall on the forecheck. Edmonton comes out with the puck, and again, it's a shot at the net with traffic. And Florida's got to do a better job in this game. In game two, at protecting the front of the net in front of Bobrovsky. Too often that players got in behind them. They're going to have to do a better job at that in game two. From that's how the goal is scored, and Draisaitl gets on the board for the 1-0 lead. Another thing they were able to do, we talk about the aggressive play of the Florida Panthers in the defensive zone. And again, when you're aggressive like this, you often leave holes in behind you. So Edmonton's going to have to find the weak side, use their defensemen, get the weak side, and get pucks to the net. And again, try to find traffic at the net. The offensive zone for the Florida Panthers starts with their faceoff. They were outstanding in the faceoff in the offensive zone. They won 56% of the faceoffs, 5-on-5 in the offensive zone, and they were able to create opportunities like this. For Edmonton, they do a better job in the defensive zone on faceoffs. You can't lose that many faceoffs to give up opportunities like this in the defensive zone for the Florida Panthers. So look for the Florida Panthers. Again, they use a lot of faceoff plays. They try to generate off these faceoff wins. So look for them to continue to do that in game two. Now we talk about the Florida forecheck. We saw how good Edmonton did on the forecheck getting stops. This is what you expect from the Florida Panthers. You expect players on the puck, heavy, create turnovers below the goal line, win the wall battles, and then attack the net. But you can see at the net, Edmonton did a really good job of boxing out and keeping Florida from creating these chances in this area. I know the Bennett goal. We're not talking about the Bennett goal today. If you want to see that, go look at yesterday's video. But they've got to be able to get inside these Edmonton Oilers defense. And the other problem is they're getting held up as they get in, and they're not getting the stops on the forecheck that this team is traditionally used to. Edmonton is winning the wall battles right now, and they're able to break out and get pucks going back the other way. Florida needs to spend more time in the offensive zone, and that's going to start with their ability to get stops on the forecheck. They can't let Edmonton use the walls to break out so quickly. Again, you're going to see here, Edmonton pushes the puck along the walls. Again, push the puck along the walls. And again, as they win the foot race and another wall battle. Well, it gets up the wall. Edmonton wins another wall battle. This time they get it by the defenseman pinching into the blue line, and they're out of the zone. So Florida's going to have to get stops. And that starts with good pressure on your first forechecker. That means get on your horses and get there quickly. Secondly, you've got to win these wall battles. Florida's got to anticipate the puck coming up the wall because Edmonton is putting the pucks up the wall. So Florida's got to anticipate that. They've got to create turnovers, and then you got to get to the net. Look for them to use that to generate offense. The other thing Florida does extremely well is they get pucks low to high in the zone. And you're going to see it here. When you see all this pressure, we talked about Edmonton defending low, get pucks low to high in the zone, and then you got to get pucks on net with people at the net. And one of the problems Florida had is they weren't able to generate here. And you can see how far away these players are. They're not at the net. And secondarily, they're not getting shots through. They're getting shots from these defensemen. They had 27 attempts by defensemen. Only 8 got through. That's 29.6% of their shots getting through from the defense. They need more than 8 shots from the defensemen. This is one of the main ways they create offense. And again, you're going to see low to high in the zone. You pull the puck over, and you finally get some net front presence. You're able to get on the inside of the Edmonton Oilers, but you can't get the puck there. And the puck doesn't get all the way through, and Edmonton's coming back the other way. So look for Florida to have their defensemen move more along the blue line to create better lanes so they can get by that layer of the Edmonton Oilers as they're trying to block. And again, you're going to see another shot, blocks. And once the block comes, you think, oh, okay, Florida's going to get to the net. But again, look at this. Lindell can't get to the net. Why? Because the Oilers are boxing him out. So Florida's going to have to do better at getting to the blue paint. It's something they're outstanding at. And again, we refer to Bennett. They are great at getting to this net front, but Kachuk's got to get there. Verhaeghe's got to get there. Bennett's got to have to get there more. They didn't get to the blue paint enough in game one. They did it in overtime. The tables finally started to turn for the Florida Panthers and their ability to find in behind the Edmonton Oilers defense. And I don't know if that was the Edmonton Oilers looking for offense or they were just tasting the puck, but Florida had really good looks in overtime, the way they want to play for 60 minutes, where they're able to win these wall battles. They're able to create turnovers, win another wall battle behind the net, get the puck back, and then they're able to get in behind as they get pucks low to high in the zone. That's exactly how they want to play, but then they get guys on the inside. They were able to do that in overtime. They need to do that more as this game starts in game two. So look for Florida to get shots from the point and getting their players to the inside. The neutral zone, this is where Florida thrives. And Edmonton, when you see Edmonton, if you give Florida time to get into their structure, and that means you allow them to get back the way they want to defend, they are tough to get through. You can see how well they stack at the blue line. They don't let the Edmonton Oilers get through and use their rush speed. Again, when you give them time, they're going to get into their 1-1-3. What does that look like? Well, it's a 1 there, it's a 1 there, and it's a 3 back here. And when they get into this structure, it's extremely difficult to get across the blue line. And it's happened over and over and over again. When they're in structure and they can get into that 1-1-3, the Oilers struggled to get pucks through and pucks came going back the other way. And again, they have that tight gap, which we talked about before the playoffs started, their ability to close these gaps and be uptight against their opponent, not allowing their opponent to get through. And again, forcing Edmonton to dump the puck in and not create off of the rush. Again, we look at another tight gap. When they have time to get into structure, they are very difficult to get through in the neutral zone. And against Connor McDavid, 5-on-5, they were really good against McDavid 5-on-5. He puts one off the bar shorthanded, and he was very good on the power play and 4-on-4. But when he has time and space, he was good. On 5-on-5, Florida did a good job of staying in front of McDavid and then not allowing him to use his speed through the neutral zone. Again, they closed him off, and they get pucks going back the other way. They need more of that 5-on-5. Again, generating offense, we saw how little they were able to generate in the offensive zone. Well, here's how they generated. They're able to create turnovers because of their tight gaps and their good neutral zone presence and their backtracking. They were able to get pucks going back the other way. And again, beating Edmonton to their structure, and they were able to get pucks at the net with traffic going to the net to look at opportunities like this. And again, transition through the neutral zone, create a turnover, get pucks going back the other way, use their speed, and get pucks on net. They were able to create turnovers from the Edmonton Oilers in this blue line because of their great structure through the neutral zone to generate offense. And again, force Edmonton into turnovers. You put pressure on the puck, you create a turnover, you get pucks going back the other way in transition and trying to generate offense. So look for Florida to continue to try to create turnovers between the blue lines. It was their biggest form of success in generating offense. Turnover between the blue lines, get to the net before Edmonton can get into structure and get opportunities at the net. And again, you're going to see it again here. Tight at the blue line, creates a turnover. Turnover leads to speed. And again, a great chance, if not for Connor McDavid back checking here, Bennett has another great look halfway through the first period. And they end up scoring their goal off of a turnover. Right here at the blue line, there's a turnover at the wall, and they're able to get in behind the Edmonton Oilers defense, winning foot races up the ice, again, off of a turnover before they can get into structure. So look for that neutral zone turnovers to start the transition for Florida. The Edmonton Oilers in the neutral zone, we know all about their speed, but let's talk about how they defend. We talked about, even before the series started, their ability to back up. They're not going to be very aggressive through the blue lines, but they're backing up, allowing the rush of the Florida Panthers to get to them. So that when they are in structure, again, they're forcing dumps. And when they back off, and you can see Draisaitl doesn't dive in, the forward doesn't dive in, trying to keep the puck in, recognizes danger, backs up, plays on the defensive side of the puck, and they're able to stop the rush of the Florida Panthers by good defending and good sticks. Something this team has improved that as this playoff series has gone on. But just like Florida, this team does generate off of turnovers, and they need to do it before Florida can get into their structure in the neutral zone. And that's when they have their best opportunities through the neutral zone, is before Florida can get into structure and they can look like this. Even when they get their third goal of the game, again, it's off a turnover in the neutral zone as Tkachuk bats it, and they get the puck up quickly, and they beat forecheckers, and they get in before Florida can get into structure. So these turnovers through the neutral zone not only help the Florida Panthers, but they are how the Edmonton Oilers were able to generate and get on the scoreboard. And you're going to see it. The Edmonton Oilers want to stretch the zone. And what does that mean? They want to get the puck up quickly. Again, they're in defensive mode right now. They get a turnover. They've got to get the puck up the ice quickly before Florida can get into structure. Beat zones, advance zones, and get the puck up quickly so you can get opportunities like this against the Florida Panthers before they get in structure. Again, create a turnover in the defensive zone, and then you got to go. And Bouchard moves the puck up quickly, and then Podkolzin drives the lane, which pulls back the defenders, and Arvidsson's able to put this one for another goal off of a quick transition from defensive zone. Again, here they're in the defensive zone. Get the puck off the wall. Move the puck quickly and get the puck up into the neutral zone prior to Florida getting into their structure. Because once they're in structure, it's nearly impossible to get through. So you have to create these turnovers off of transition, get these turnovers, force them into turnovers between the blue lines, and then it's got to go quick. And we've seen it all playoffs with the Edmonton Oilers defensemen able to get the puck up the ice quickly and be able to create scoring chances like this. Again, we talk about structure. You got to create these turnovers from just inside the zone so you can transition from defense to offense before Florida gets in their structure. And that's where Edmonton had their best opportunities off of the rush, is off of those transitions. So as we head into game 2, what do they need to look for? What do these teams need to do better? For the Florida Panthers, they've got to get shots through. Only 8 of 27 attempts made it through. And you know what? The Edmonton Oilers, 50% of their shots by their defensemen made it through. They had 21 of 42 shots, 21 shots on goal from their defensemen. So Florida needs more of that. They need to get to the blue paint. We saw how well the Edmonton Oilers boxed out in front of Skinner. Florida's got to find a way to get in behind them for second chance tips, screens, and rebounds. They got to get stops on the forecheck. They got to get turnovers along the walls after they dump the puck in. They got to be physical on the defensemen of the Edmonton Oilers and create those turnovers on the half wall. Transition, continue what you did in game 1. Force Edmonton into those turnovers and use your speed and transition game going back the other way. You got to get Tkachuk into the game. You need Tkachuk and Bennett doing Tkachuk and Bennett things. They need to be more active. They need to cause bigger problems in front of the net. And you need to be aware that Matthew Tkachuk is in this game. And the best player on the ice for the Florida Panthers needs to be Bobrovsky. Bobrovsky was really good, but he gave up 4. He's got to be better in game 2. He needs to be the best player for the Florida Panthers. And Edmonton, just no offensive zone penalties. You can't do it. You've got 66% penalty kill. It's been 62.5% since the start of the conference finals. You can't take offensive zone penalties. Can't do it. D-zone faceoffs, you got to be better. That means your wingers got to get involved. Your defensemen are going to have to get involved, and you can't be 44% in the defensive zone 5-on-5. Don't get distracted by Bennett. Don't let him get you away from the game that you're playing. Don't let him stop you from the structure that your team has used all season. Don't let him be a factor in this series. Continue to break out clean. Get the pucks past the forecheck of the Florida Panthers. Get the puck out of the zone. Use the weak side in the offensive zone. That weak side D is available because of the aggressive play of the Florida Panthers in the defensive zone. Use your defensemen. Let them come down on the back door and get opportunities like that. And no neutral zone turnovers. You have to stop feeding the Florida Panther transition. If the play isn't there, get the puck in deep. Well, thanks for coming with me inside the coach's room. I hope you're ready for game 2. Make sure you look for those things as you're sitting down on the couch watching for game 2. Well, I'll be back here after game 2. I'm going to break down all the goals and show you everything that happened and all the plays that made the plays. So make sure you're subscribing to Inside the Coach's Room. And until then, I'm Petey, and we'll see you at the rink.